I would nuance it a bit though. You said? So, I would nuance this a bit. Because it's not... we have to make sure what Sufism are we talking about. Because now when we say Sufism is better than philosophy, then those are jumping and clapping and ignorant people who do not even think, who are just following blindly things, and they say, oh, we are better than philosophers. And that's not true. That's not true. And also, when you call philosophy dalal, it's not all of philosophy. When Imam Ghazali criticizes the philosophy and said they have philosopher, he wasn't condemning philosophy. That was a big misunderstanding. He was condemning the kind of philosophy that only and exclusively relies on aql, on reason, and on mantiq, and who denies any spiritual inspiration, who denies noetic knowledge.
What Ibn Rushd, the rise in tahafut,
of course,
refutation of the recitation.
100%. Ibn Rushd, he corrected, I won't say he corrected Al-Ghazali, but he corrected the way Al-Ghazali wrote his book.
He just waited.
The way Al-Ghazali wrote his book was, I would criticize it, because Al-Ghazali should have elaborated further and make a distinction between the guided philosophers and the misguided philosophers. You see, if the Quran is making this distinction between the guided poets and the misguided poets, you have to make a difference between the enlightened, the truly enlightened philosophers who leave that connection to the inspiration, that path for inspiration and for noetic, contemplative inspiration path, and those who, no, it's only reason 1 + 1 = 2, and this proof and that proof and this proof and that proof, otherwise that truth does not exist, or that reality will deny. So that one is, of course, that path of philosophy that doesn't leave room for inspiration is problematic. We have actually philosophers today, like Kant, for example, like, not today, but even modern philosophers, like Kant, for example, and many philosophers today, like Carl Jung, for example, a psychologist and philosopher, who would say, no, we need to leave the path for spirituality, so we have to have both. This conversation, by the way, this reminds me of a conversation, by the way, between Ibn Rushd and Ibn Arabi. When Ibn Rushd was an adult and he was the friend of the father of Ibn Arabi, and Ibn Arabi started having these futuhat, these enlightenments, and he started saying things at a very young age. I think Ibn Arabi at the time was 18 or 19, and Ibn Rushd was maybe 55, something like that. And Ibn Rushd heard about Ibn Arabi, and he came to visit. Actually, he came to visit the father of Ibn Arabi, and then the father of Ibn Arabi said, I really want, my son is saying very interesting things, they are strange things, but they seem very, very deep. I want you to meet with him. And Ibn Arabi came to meet Ibn Rushd, the philosopher, and Ibn Arabi started speaking, and then Rushd said, this is interesting, and he told him, but what you are saying is exactly what we are saying, isn't it true? He said, yes. And then Ibn Rushd smiled. He's like, so then we can get to the same path. And then Ibn Arabi said, no. Between the yes and no, Ibn Rushd, he actually lost his mind. He was in awe and said, between this yes and no, تطير الأعناق.
So let's conclude by again quoting Al-Ghazali. He says, and I quote, علمت علم اليقين أن الصوفية وطريقهم هو أصوب الطرق. And by that he says, the middle path of the Sufis. Ghazali himself is first philosopher, then Sufi. But the Prophet is first Sufi, then Prophet.
I would say no. The Prophet was a philosopher. In Ghar Hira, the dhikr of Allah means, what are you or who are you? Actually, etymologically speaking, the name Allah, means like what or who, and Al means the essence. Who are you and what are you? That was the question. And the name of the cave was Hira, and that Hira is Hayratul Faylasuf. The Prophet started as a philosopher, and then he became Sufi, and combining the two, philosophy and tasawwuf, is the true path. And that's but still, al-hubb ashha ilayya, still these moments of love and passion are more desired to the sincere heart than the ما يقوله اللبيب العارف, and then the moments of intellectual enlightenment. This said, you need both if you want to be
So like Sheikh Hamdi says, again I quote him, there are guided and misguided philosophers. A Sufi is a guided, inspired,
the real Sufi.
real Sufi.
But
And
there
the
are
Prophet-
guided and misguided Sufis as
Prophet
well.
was a real guided Sufi.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.